Hey you and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this video right here, you and I are going to take a trip to a town in Ireland called Sligo, and a very mysterious man who visited it in 2009. We don't know his name, only his alias. We don't know where he came from, why he was there, or really anything about him. And that's what makes the Peter Bergman case an unsolved mystery. Let's investigate this one, shall we? Sligo town, located in County Sligo, is a seaport town sitting on the northwest coast of the Republic of Ireland. It has a population of about 20,000 people and sits close to some of the most stunning locations on the west of Ireland. People have been living in that area for about 6,000 years. But in 2009, one particular man visited. On June 12th of that year, a man calling himself Peter Bergman travelled to Sligo, where he checked in at the Sligo City Hotel, which sits right by the sea. He was slender, clean-shaven, appeared to be in his 50s or 60s. He also spoke with a heavy German accent, and interacted very little with the hotel staff and guests during his stay. He remained in the town for 4 days, and then on the morning of June 16th, Peter Bergman's naked body was discovered washed up on a beach about 6 miles from his hotel. Upon discovery of his body and an examination, investigators quickly discovered that Peter Bergman was not his real name, and from there, the mystery of who he was and where he came from, it only deepened. It also seemed that he had made a great effort to ensure that no one would ever really know who he was or where he was from. The police began to track down his movements from when he first arrived in Sligo to his last day, to try and piece together any information they could. And this is what they found about the last days of Peter Bergman and any clues they could uncover as to who he was, why was he there, solve the mystery. On July 12th, he arrived at the Ulster bus depot in Derry, Northern Ireland, which is about 2.5 hours north of Sligo. He boarded a bus for Sligo carrying a black shoulder bag and a smaller carry-on. He arrived at about 6:30 p.m. at the Sligo bus station and took a taxi to the Sligo City Hotel, where he paid €65 per night in cash. While checking in, he gave the name Peter Bergman and listed his address as Einstetterns 15, 4472, Vienna, Austria. Investigators later determined that this address didn't exist, or it was an empty lot. There was nothing there. And there was no such person as Peter Bergman who fitted his description, his age. This Peter Bergman never existed. During his stay at the hotel, Peter Bergman was seen on security cameras leaving the building with a purple plastic bag full of items. However, when he returned from his long walks, he would no longer be carrying the bag. It was presumed that he was disposing of his belongings throughout the town, and then putting the bag in his pocket. Police were unable to identify what he was throwing away in the rubbish bins, as the man used the blind spots of surveillance cameras to hide his activity. His movements seemed planned, as if he knew where exactly to deposit his personal belongings, presumably, so that no one would ever be able to find them or trace them back to him, and that maybe those items he got rid of, they had identifying information that he never wanted anyone to find. On June 13th, he entered a post office and purchased 8 stamps and airmail stickers. If and where he sent the letters, that remains unknown. However, it was believed that it may have some identifying information. The very next day, he left the hotel, got into a taxi and asked the driver if he could recommend a quiet beach he could go swimming at. The driver took Bergman to Ross's Point beach. Later that day, the same driver picked up Peter Bergman from the beach and drove him back to town. On Monday, June 15th, Bergman checked out of his hotel room. He had his black shoulder bag, but he was also carrying a purple plastic bag and had a different carry-on bag than he had arrived with. He made his way toward the bus station. By the time he arrived at the bus station, he wasn't carrying one of the bags. Where that went, no one knows. He walked to the shop counter and ordered a cappuccino and a ham and cheese toasted sandwich. And at this point we have more mysterious is the only word I can think of, footage of him. While eating his food, he took out pieces of paper from his pocket numerous times, looked at it, folded it, and put it back in. On one occasion, it appeared that he tore the paper into pieces and put them in the bin. Quite possibly, what he tore up was a checklist of things he needed to do, and he had done them. He subsequently got on a bus for Ross's Point and was last seen walking up the beach. The following morning, a father and son who were training for a triathlon found his naked body lying on the beach at 6:45 a.m. The detective who was responsible for the investigation into this man's death said that the weather conditions at the time were pleasant. During the course of the search around where his body was found, about 300 meters away were his clothing and some personal items: cash, blank paper, plasters, aspirin, a wristwatch, and soap from the hotel. He also had removed all of the labels from his clothing. An autopsy revealed that the cause of death was drowning and no foul play was suspected. The coroner also noted that Bergman's teeth were well taken care of. He had a gold tooth and had much work done, indicating he had good money to look after his chompers. However, they also discovered he was in very poor health. The investigation revealed that he was in advanced stages of prostate cancer and had bone tumors. He also showed signs of previous heart attacks and had only one kidney. The other had been removed. For a man with very serious health issues, the toxicology report, however, showed that he had no medication of any kind at all in his system. The medical examiner stated that, due to his heart attacks and health status, the man would have been in significant pain and would have required prescription pain medication to handle it. Yet nothing was found in his system. Not even the aspirin that was with the rest of his personal items on the beach. The police were never able to identify who Peter Bergman really was. He arrived in Sligo from Derry, but where he was before that is unknown. Derry is not a major port of entry into Northern Ireland. He could have flown in, however, from a different part of the UK, but it's more likely he was in Belfast before arriving in Derry. Due to the fact that he sent letters, it's thought that, he has to have friends or family or someone who knew him, and presumably that's who he sent the letters to, but no one ever came forward to identify him. It's presumed that Peter Bergman was a man who was terminally ill and someone who wanted to die on their own terms. Yet why he took such extreme lengths to hide his identity, to ensure that no one would ever know who he was, remains a mystery. He also may have thought that his body would have washed out to the Atlantic, and so this unknown man would have simply disappeared, and no one would have known. After a 5-month investigation, the body was buried in Sligo. The funeral, it was attended by 4 Gardaí. In 2015, the French newspaper Le Monde reported that they had contacted the Austrian police, he said his address was in Vienna, about the case. However, the Austrian police, they said that the Irish police had never contacted them about this person, whoever he was. There was also no Interpol notice for the unidentified man. When a person goes missing or becomes wanted, it's up to the country of origin to report that. However, Peter Bergman, he wasn't missing. He wasn't wanted. The only link is that he had a German accent, spoke German, listed an address in Austria, so we can take it that he was Austrian. but the address he listed did not exist. The name he gave did not exist. And it seems like he didn't exist either. Or didn't want to exist anyway. The man known as Peter Bergman wanted to remain unknown, and he preemptively planned his moves so that he could never be identified. Why he did that, and why he chose this particular town in the northwest of Ireland to live out his final days, remains a mystery. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please let me know your thoughts on the Peter Bergman case down below. Who do you think he was? Why was he there? And as always, I will see you real soon in the next video. Thanks again, Mike out.